Hey, I'm Greg Gifford, the COO at Search Lab Digital, and I've been speaking at Brighton SEO twice a year for over a decade now. As I was chatting with the team about what I was going to talk about this year, I suggested doing a session on the first day of the conference that would basically help first-time attendees get the most out of Brighton SEO. The team loved the idea, and as we talked through it, we realized it would work much better as a video that could be shared before the conference. So here we are, and this is that video. Whether it's your first conference to ever attend or you've been attending other conferences for years, Brighton SEO can be pretty intimidating the first time you attend. It's a massive event in a ginormous venue with thousands of people, so it's easy to get a little overwhelmed. I'm lucky enough to speak at conferences all over the world, and Brighton SEO is by far my favorite conference. The biggest mistake that most first-time and even repeat attendees make is that they stay in their own little bubble. They show up, hit a few talks, and then head home. I get it. Most people are pretty surprised to hear that I'm actually an introvert. Most people are a little bit, I think, but since I'm a speaker, I've learned to break out of my shell at conferences. Sure, Brighton SEO has amazing talks from absolutely brilliant speakers, but the real value of the conference is everything that happens outside of the sessions. So today, I'm here to give you a kick-ass guide to attending Brighton SEO for the first time and getting the maximum value out of your experience. The Cagtabseo Fit Agtum Voye. Make sure you arrive well before the first session starts at 9:30. There's always an absolutely massive queue to get in, and you don't want to miss the opening sessions because you showed up at 9:15 expecting to get right in. The queue moves pretty quickly most of the time, but if it happens to be super long, it's better to be early than to be late and miss something that you wanted to see. Make sure you meet as many people as you can. If you came to the conference with friends, don't make the mistake of just hanging out with your friends. Say hi to people sitting around you before each talk. Mingle with the crowd during the breaks. Take advantage of the fun stations like Lego building, tie-dye t-shirts, retro video games, and games at the vendor stands. Expanding your connections is a massive benefit to both your current job and your future career. Banging your head on the desk because you're stuck on a problem? You probably met someone at Brighton SEO who specializes in that particular area, and now you can reach out to ask for help. Are you new to digital marketing and wondering which direction you should go? Ask your new Brighton SEO friends for advice. Who knows, you may even end up finding your next job opportunity through a connection that you made. The personal connections you make at Brighton SEO can and will have a massive impact on your future. Plus, you'll make amazing friends. I make it a point to spend the weekend in London after every Brighton SEO so that I can hang out with my friends Lee and Tanisha, who I met at my first Brighton SEO over 10 years ago. Most of the speakers who present at multiple conferences will tell you that the best things you'll learn at a conference are the things you hear off the record at the pub after the event. And that's pretty true. The conversations you'll have with other attendees and speakers at dinner or the pub will definitely level up your skills. And don't be afraid to talk to the speakers. We're all just regular people. Sure, it might be a bit intimidating seeing someone that you saw earlier in the day on the massive main stage, but really, we're all speaking because we want to share our knowledge and help other people. Whether it's in the hallway at the conference center, or in the pub later that night, or even on the street, just walk up and introduce yourself. Again, you'll be able to make connections that will help you in the future. It's also important to plan your conference before you arrive. Don't make the rookie mistake of showing up without a schedule for the day. You'll definitely end up overwhelmed and you'll miss important things you don't want to miss. You want to maximize your time, especially if you're on a single day ticket. Check the website beforehand and plan out the sessions you want to attend. Brighton SEO schedules 3 speakers per session and each talk is 20 minutes long. The talks in each session are related, so it's pretty easy to pick your session rooms by topic. Or you may have a few speakers you want to see in person. Maybe you've heard their podcast or seen them in videos online, or maybe a friend told you that that speaker was amazing in person. Obviously, you'll want to choose sessions that help you in your current role as well, but don't ignore topics that are outside of your comfort zone. If you're just starting out in digital marketing, the session lineup can help you find a direction for your career. Even if you're already established and know which direction you're heading, learning about areas outside of your job role can help you work more cohesively with your in-house team or with the clients that your agency works with. Whatever your reason, it's important to decide who you want to see, especially if you have one or two sessions you absolutely don't want to miss. Outside of the main stage room, it's common for the rooms to fill up, and you don't want to be left standing in the back corner for an hour. Some of the rooms will even max out capacity, and if you arrive too late, you won't get in at all. If you've planned your day ahead of time, you'll know where you need to be, so you can be sure to get to the room early enough to snag an amazing seat. In April of this year, the room I presented in filled up so fast that they had to start turning attendees away 10 minutes before the session even started. You don't want that to happen, especially if it's a session you really want to see. So plan ahead. It's also important to plan what you're going to do for lunch. You get 80 minutes for lunch, which seems like a lot. But when you have several thousand people all heading to lunch at the same time, the pubs and restaurants can get pretty overloaded. So it can be a bit of a rush to eat and then get back to the conference center in time for all of the after lunch sessions. If you're planning on meeting up with a group for lunch, it's helpful to pick a spot outside of the conference center to meet and to set a deadline for arriving at the meetup point. You'll want to get to lunch as quickly as possible so you have time to eat at a more comfortable pace. Nobody wants to inhale their food. Plan on spending some time browsing the vendor stands downstairs. Even if you're not looking for a new tool or service, there are fun games and coffee stands and even ice cream. Plus, you'll find tons of free swag, from socks and pens to t-shirts and hoodies. And that actually transitions nicely to my next point in the brightonSEO foot agtum voye. Make sure you leave some space in your luggage or bag to bring home some sweet swag. Trust me, you're going to need it. And now, it's time to talk about things outside of the conference venue. There are official and unofficial social events and parties every night. Even if you came alone and don't know anyone, make sure you hit the parties. Again, it's a great way to network and meet other people, and it's a much more relaxed atmosphere for talking to any of the speakers that you may see at the party. When you meet people during the day and you vibe with someone, just ask them what they're doing after the conference. Most people head to the pub for a few drinks and then stop for some dinner before going to the parties. Grab other attendees and form a group. And if you run into somebody that already has plans, they're probably going to be pretty happy to let you tag along anyway. If you're only coming for one day, make sure you plan to spend some time after the conference hitting dinner and going to one of the parties. Trust me, it's worth sticking around for a few more hours. You'll get so much more out of Brighton SEO if you don't head home as soon as the last session is over. For the last part of the brightonSEO foot agtum voye, I reached out to a few speaker friends to get some recommendations of pubs and restaurants and places in Brighton that you should check out. I'll start with my own recommendations. Head to Bill's for breakfast. It's up on North Road and it's got a stellar breakfast. If you go on Saturday morning, you will likely see a few speakers there as well. My absolute favorite place to eat in Brighton is Casa Don Carlos, a really small tapas spot in the lanes. The food will absolutely blow your mind. My second favorite dinner spot is Ephesus, a Turkish restaurant a few blocks up from the conference center. Most of the speakers end up hanging out at the Mesmerist, a killer pub near the lanes. If you're a fan of show tunes, there's an absolutely amazing pub you should check out. But I'm not going to name it in this video because it's our group's favorite hangout spot on Friday night. If you want to join, you'll have to find me to get the name because it's super small and we don't want to overcrowd the place. Judith Lewis recommends Thai Spice. She said it's not close to the conference center, but the flavor of every dish is mighty. She also suggested the Seven Stars Pub, a favorite spot of the old school Brighton SEO speakers. Jeff Kennedy recommends the Salt Room, which is almost next door to the conference venue. It's great food and a bit fancier than other spots, so it's a great place to take clients. Ned Poulter said that Easy Street Tap is the place to be if you're out after midnight, and Jim Banks recommended it as well. George Blandford recommends Anatolia for awesome Greek kebabs with all the trimmings. Rishi Lakani recommends Indian Summer for excellent Indian food and gave a second vote for Seven Stars Pub for lunch. Clara Acosta recommends Cafe Coho for breakfast. Simon Vreeman and Aleda Solis both suggested that if you're flying in for the conference, it's much easier to fly into Gatwick and take the train to Brighton. Vicky Simmons said that if it's sunny, you should go to the Fortune of War on the beach. And as a bonus, there's usually dogs to pet while you're there, so that's always fun. Jonathan Moore said that if you're a pizza fan, the Star and Garter has amazing Detroit-style pizza. And Steve Payne said that Bardsley's has incredible fish and chips, and that his clients loved the food too. So that's it for the kick-ass guide to attending Brighton SEO for the first time and getting the maximum value out of your experience. I hope it helps you get the most out of your first Brighton SEO. If you see me at a conference or out at a pub or even on the street somewhere, make sure you say hi and let me know what you thought of the video. And I hope to see you at Brighton SEO.